She had just buried her son. 7 days. That is all the time that had passed. She came home from the hospital with empty arms and a chest full of grief so heavy she could barely stand. And that evening, her phone buzzed. She picked it up. It was a wedding invitation. Emeka and Chisom, her man, her best friend. She sat on the floor and she could not move. But what broke her completely was not the invitation. It was remembering what he had said to her not long ago, right in this same room when she told him she was pregnant. He took her face in both his hands, looked her in the eyes, and he said,
"You have given me everything, Ada."
7 days later, he gave that everything to her best friend. But to understand how she got here,
Really?
we have to go back to a rainy Tuesday.
Hello, it's
And an
pouring.
umbrella.
Share my umbrella.
And a
Thank
bus
you,
stop
that's very kind.
that
I'm
changed
Emeka.
everything.
Nice to meet you, Emeka. I'm Adaeze.
The pleasure is mine.
Adaeze was the kind of woman who loved quietly but deeply. She met Emeka at a bus stop in Lagos on a rainy Tuesday. He had no umbrella. She shared hers. By the time the rain stopped, he had her number. And within 6 months, he had her whole heart. They were not rich. Emeka drove a taxi. Adaeze sold fabric at the market 3 days a week. And on the other 4 days, she braided hair from their one-room apartment.
Here you go, my love.
But they were happy.
Thank you. It looks
The kind of
delicious.
happiness that
I
does
made
not
it just
need an
for you.
audience.
I like it.
It's amazing.
When
thank
Adaeze
you.
discovered she was pregnant, she wept. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming feeling that God had finally said yes to her deepest prayer. He
You have
took
given
her
me
face in both
everything,
his hands
Ada.
that night and said those words she would never forget. She believed him. She had no reason not to. Chisom had been Adaeze's best friend since secondary school. They had shared textbooks, secrets, and the kind of bond that feels unbreakable. When Adaeze fell pregnant, it was Chisom who threw her a small celebration. Chisom who rubbed her swollen feet. Chisom who sat beside her at the clinic every month. But there are some people who smile at your table while planning to take your seat. Adaeze never saw it. Because when you trust someone completely, you stop watching them. And that is exactly what Chisom was counting on. At 7 months pregnant, Adaeze began bleeding. The doctors fought hard, but the baby, a boy she had already named Tobena, meaning "my father is good," did not survive. Adaeze was discharged 3 days later with empty arms and a chest full of grief so heavy she could barely stand upright. Emeka picked her up from the hospital. He was quiet on the drive home. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that is not peace, but preparation. When they entered the house, Adaeze noticed a bag by the door. A man's bag, half packed. She looked at Emeka. He could not look at her. "Ada," he said slowly, "I've been trying to find the right time. There is never a right time to destroy someone. I can't do this anymore," he said. "I'm sorry." She asked him one question, just one. "Is there someone else?" He said nothing, and his silence answered louder than any word ever could. He was gone by morning. It was Adaeze's neighbor, Mama Tumbe, who told her the full truth, because in every compound there is always one woman who sees everything and has the courage to say it. "My sister," Mama Tunde said, holding Adaeze's hands firmly. "That your friend Chisom. She and Emeke have been meeting since before your baby came. Everyone saw it, except you." Adaeze did not scream. She did not break things. She sat down on the floor, right there in the doorway, and she was silent for a very long time. 1 week later, she received the invitation. Emeke and Chisom, they were getting married. It had been 7 days since she buried her son.
There is a kind of pain that either kills you or converts you into something iron cannot bend. Adaeze chose iron. She packed the one-room apartment into 2 bags. She moved to Abuja to live with her aunt. She cried every night for 3 months. She will be the first to tell you that. She is not ashamed of the tears, but she never let the tears make her decisions. Her aunt owned a small fabric store. Adaeze began working it, then managing it, then expanding it. She had an eye for color and pattern that customers traveled to experience. Orders came from Abuja, then Port Harcourt, then London. Within 4 years, Adaeze had built a textile business that employed 11 women. She did not do it to prove anything to Emeka. She did it to prove something to herself. It was at a trade fair in Lagos that she saw him again. Emeka. He was standing at a corner store selling phone accessories. His shirt was wrinkled, his shoes were worn down at the heel. He had aged in the way that unhappy men age, fast and without mercy. He saw her at the same moment. He froze completely. Adaeze looked at him for exactly 3 seconds. Then she turned and kept walking. Later, a mutual contact told her the rest. Chisom had left Emeka 2 years into the marriage, took everything she could carry, said he was too small for the life she wanted. The gods, it seems, were not sleeping. They never are.
Adaeze remarried 3 years later. A quiet man named Daiki, who had loved her from a distance for years and waited patiently, properly, the old-fashioned way. They have 2 children today. She named her firstborn son Tobena, the name she never got to use the first time. Some things are not lost forever. Some things are just waiting for the right season. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you are going through your own storm right now, hold on. Your Tobena is coming.